Alright, which variable type used in each instance? Now be really careful with this one because obviously there's numbers at the beginning and text at the end, so people will mess up inevitably, but you should have put string. Next one includes a decimal in there, so you might be ready to put float, which would be correct if we were typing the code into Python, but remember this is called a real in the exam. March again is just text included in there, nothing else, so again that's a string. -5 is a whole number, so integer. X, and there's only one letter there, so that would be a character. And then true would be Boolean that you should have. So next we have some pseudocode as part of a fixed loop. So we're looking to get this code to repeat 15 times, but starting at the number 1. So for us in Python, we should have 1, 16. Remembering that 16 won't actually be executed, that just tells it when to terminate. B, we already answered there, is a fixed loop because it executes a specific number of times and it isn't a while loop, there's no condition there. Why is internal commentary an important part of writing a program? So for this we could give examples to help. So improving the readability of our programs means that, one, it's easier for other programmers to understand what our code is doing, which means people can learn from it. It's easier to add in new features because it's easy to find the specific places in code to add features, and it makes it easier to test the code because it's just easier to understand it. Programmers writing a program not finished yet, which translator would you recommend they used? Now at this point when we're still working on a program, we should really be using an interpreter. And the advantage of the interpreter in that scenario is that it translates and executes one line of code at a time, and it will tell us if there's an error with that specific line, and we can fix it before moving on. So it's easier to spot, fix, and correct errors. Next up, we've got some pseudocode here. We've got internal commentary. We've got some initializations, some outputs, some inputs, conditional loops. Start and end. So let's see what things we've got to identify here. So a condition, what line number contains a condition? So we've got two options here. You have the password today does not equal user value. That would be a condition. Or you could also use the if user value equals password previous. Selection statements, remember, are if statements. That would be line 6 until 8. Which includes selection. Initialization, we only really have one of those, which is on line 1, setting the password to unicorn. Internal commentary, again, line 0 is the only one that contains the hashtag. Repetition would be the while loop from line 4 until line 9, so put both, that's where it begins and ends. And inputs, I think we only have one option here, 2, which would be line 3, receive user value from keyboard. So it's important that you know what those programming constructs identify. Programmers trying to write code to validate a user's meal choice, they can enter B, H, or F only. Using pseudocode, a programming language with which you are familiar, write code to achieve this. Now remember, an if statement won't work here. And looking at these previous examples, there's examples of whiles here. Let's just look through the other questions to see if there's any other example code. Here's more while statements on previous code with ifs, examples of conditions, and maybe this last one won't help. So when you get questions like that in exam, look at the other examples of code given to you to help you. So make sure you have a while loop that only accepts B, H, and F. And maybe you could use uppercase as well to show off. 6. A program is written to control the launch of rockets carrying satellites. A sub-procedure is shown below to test conditions on wind speed, humidity, and engine's temperature before launch. So we've got 3 inputs. Line 4, check launch is OK or not. Send launch as a go to display. The launch will only go ahead if the engine temperature and the wind speed are OK, or the humidity is OK and the wind speed OK. OK would be registered by a true value recorded by a sensor. So using a pseudocode or programming language with which you're familiar, write down how line 4 would be implemented. So looking at line 6, we get a clue as to what the first part should be, and then we're looking for the complex condition, relying on our understanding of Boolean algebra, and there's a few different ways we could answer this. Just be careful to use brackets to ensure you get the correct parts. Another program is written to deploy parachutes once the rocket re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. Sensors are being constantly updated with information about speed, external temperature, that should say, and the height of the rocket. So we've got A is deployed when the height of the rocket gets below 1,000 feet, and B is deployed only in emergency purposes if the rocket gets below 1,000 feet and the speed still is over 200 miles per hour. Program constantly checks the inputs until the height is 0 or is manually stopped. So we've got to look at this code here as indentation to help you with the start and end of if statements and so on. Now there's 2 logic errors in here. Now a logic error is different from execution because the program will obviously run. It's different from a syntax error, again, because the program will run and you wouldn't know there's an error until you test it, because a logic error is where the program executes correctly but it produces the wrong output. Now we are supposed to find the line numbers which have the logic errors on them, as well as what you would change it to, so I'm not going to help with that. But all I will say is look at the ands and the ors, and look at the mathematical operators. Greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, not equal to. And then check the specific numbers after those mathematical conditions to see if those match what is expected. Now this is a really important question, this number 8. So it's about pseudocode that gives the user 10 lives, the flowchart shown below, and it's incomplete. So we've got this proper flowchart with some parts missing that you need to fill in on the sheet. So process statement indicated by A, so you can see set lives to. For that particular one, it should have said how many lives we got, and you can see here when we read the question back, we've been given 10 lives, so that should give us a clue to what we're going to set that one to. Part B, process statement indicated by B, set score to. At the beginning of a game, we're trying to score as many points as possible, so our score should be set to a value that reflects how many questions we've answered at that point. Then we have a display new question, and we have this answer equals correct part. And looking back now, complete the process statement indicated by C. So we see here, we need to work out what we're going to do. If the answer equals correct, yes, what variable is going to change? Are we going to change lives? Or are we going to change score? So think what score should be set to, and you've got to have the correct pseudocode for that. So use your pseudocode booklets to check for that one. Next one, process statement indicated by D. If the answer equals correct, so if you get the answer correct, something should happen to one of the variables. If you get it incorrect, i.e. no, then something's going to happen to one of our other variables. So think about what's going to happen to that. Again, using the correct pseudocode. So that's D. Complete the conditional statement indicated by E, which is this part here. Lives something 0. So we can see just the beginning of the 2 different arrows. If the lives is 0, no is prepared to go somewhere else, and yes is going somewhere else. So it did say at the beginning until we run out of lives, so that would be lives equal 0. Connect the indicator indicated by F, so you can see that this just runs out and stops. You need to figure out where that should go back and loop around in this game, so connect that up. And then at the end of the game, the user score is displayed. Draw this on the flowchart. Remembering at the end, we have something similar to the start, so don't forget the other parts that were required to complete a flowchart. And then the last one, lives as a variable. Explain what is meant by the term variable. I will leave you to explain that one as well.